The Gloriana set by ThebeMoon, read by LMX Mabella. Chapter 26. Notorious.
What the hell did you do to Lavender?
Ginny asked Sunday morning, stuffing a toothbrush into her toiletries bag. What do you mean? Hermione pulled on a black jumper, her bushy hat popping out the top.
I mean, I got back to the room last night to find out you left not 10 minutes before. Lavender was freaking out, screaming that you tried to kill her. Nonsense.
Hermione tied up her hair with a gold ribbon. She looked and felt much better today. Time with Theo appeared to be therapeutic. Ginny put her hands on her hips, Molly Weasley style.
Hermione Granger, did you or did you not shatter our window?
That was an accident.
What did you say then? Ginny persisted. It took forever to get Lavender out from under the bed.
Hermione stuffed a cloak into her beaded bag. Coming for breakfast?
Hermione!
Ginny pulled her over to sit down on Hermione's bed. Crookshanks immediately jumped up to get as much orange hair as possible on Hermione's black sweater.
What's going on? Lavender said that you went absolutely spare and that she can't sleep here anymore. Then she packed up all her stuff and left. What, really?
Hermione looked around. The giant stuffed bear was gone from Lavender's bed, along with her trunk and all those weird googly-eyed dolls from her desk and the pictures in pink heart-shaped frames.
Lavender's gone. She's rooming with Parvati in a couple of seventh years.
Hermione grinned. I should have done this years ago.
That is what I'm talking about,
Ginny said, pointing at her.
You're not acting like yourself this year.
She stared at Hermione fixedly.
Let me guess, Malfoy, right? Funny how he's always part of your little episodes.
Hermione looked away, her hand stroking Crookshank's fur. Maybe.
Well?
Hermione sighed and gave it to her straight. Malfoy checked Lavender. Ginny's jaw dropped.
I don't believe it.
Believe it? There I was, innocently getting ready to meet Theo, and Lavender presents the latest episode of the Slytherin Sex God Chronicles starring Draco Malfoy and his Wonder Dick. The drums were starting to beat inside her head again. She really needed to calm down about this.
Oh, Merlin,
Ginny breathed wide-eyed.
Are you sure?
Apparently I haven't lived until I have that blonde head between my legs, Hermione said bitterly.
Merlin,
Ginny said again.
I'm so sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Well, you like Malfoy. I know you do. You gods, no wonder you shattered the window.
Hermione sighed. Maybe, but he's betrothed to Astoria Greengrass and now apparently with a little Lavender on the side, and I want no part of that mess.
How do you know he's betrothed to Astoria?
Ginny asked shrewdly. Astoria told me.
Before or after you choked her and slammed her into a wall?
Hermione played with the beads on her bag, reluctant to bring up the attempted crucio. She was being annoying.
Annoying? Merlin, Ginny huffed. Just because Astoria says they're betrothed doesn't mean it's true. She's been saying that for years. Malfoy's still a git, but he's been almost human this year. Neville says he hasn't insulted him once. That, along with the injury and snitch catching, well, Malfoy's making headway with students despite the blood messages. People actually talk to him now. Astoria thinks she's got a string on him and she's yanking it.
She can't be pulling the leash very hard if he's shagging Lavender, Hermione pointed out. Ginny was frowning.
I just can't see it, Malfoy and Lavender,
she sighed. I should have been here for you. Hermione pulled the redhead into a hug. No, none of this was your fault. How did you talk with Harry yesterday? Ginny's face was downcast.
He met someone else, but you already know that.
Yes.
We took a walk around the lake and it was fucking awful. Harry was all mature and noble and understanding. When I mentioned Blaze,
Ginny choked.
It was obvious I'd checked him. I mean, my face was so hot. I couldn't even look at Harry, and when I finally did, his mouth was doing that thing.
Hermione nodded. She knew that look. When Harry folded his lips into a grime line from an injury or hard feelings and was trying to hide it.
Then he starts acting like my father.
Her roommate eerily mimicked Harry's serious aura voice.
People are not always what they seem, Ginny.
Ginny sighed.
It's just, I loved Harry for so long. I don't know how I feel now, but it doesn't matter, really.
She looked at Hermione.
You're meeting him today, aren't you?
Hermione nodded. I'm leaving for Diagon Alley after breakfast.
Now, I just have Blaise.
Ginny sighed.
And I have no clue how I feel about him. I feel like it could crash and burn just like you and Malfoy.
There wasn't enough of us to crash and burn, Hermione said earnestly. It's just not going to happen. I'm with Theo now. I like being with him. Even if Malfoy isn't engaged to Astoria and isn't shaking Lavender, it doesn't matter. The whole thing was ridiculous. He's a Malfoy, I'm a Muggle-born. There is no future there. We could never be real. We are patient partners, and that's it. The Daily Prophet Sunday edition arrived at breakfast, with owls dropping thick wads of parchment on people's heads and plates. Hermione was still cleaning pumpkin juice off her smeared paper when Ginny nudged her.
Hermione,
she said, shoving another folded copy at her. Magical virus infects Azkaban. Hermione read. Look, Ginny, there is a sickness running through the prison. It seems that many inmates are weak and vulnerable after years with Dementors.
Not that.
Ginny rolled her eyes.
The real news.
She unfolded the top half.
Look!
Hermione bent her head over the parchment again. There, on the front page, under the headline, War Heroine in Love Tryst with Death Eater's Son, was a picture of Hermione and Theo at the Spangled Velvet the night before. She sat in shock, watching the two of them kiss lightly over the table again and again.
Rita Skeeter,
she murmured. She read on. During a lovely meal at Hogsmeade, hottest new restaurant, the Spangled Veil, this reporter was shocked to see war heroine Hermione Granger enter with none other than Theodore Nott, son of infamous Death Eater Ignatius Nott, who was executed by the Wizengamot in August for murder, assault, and conspiracy. See Scandal, page 17. Hermione rifled through the pages. Granger, 19, right-hand woman to Harry Potter, the boy who lived, and a major combatant in the Battle of Hogwarts, has returned to her alma mater to finish her education. Undoubtedly, that is where she took up with Nott, 18, who spent the war overseas and only returned once the fighting was over. Granger is well known for her generosity of spirit, and it looks like the handsome Slytherin's charms may have overcome the judgment of the brightest witch of her age. Only months ago we expected wedding bells between Granger and fellow war hero Ronald Weasley, and now she is seen canoodling with a rival house. However, one admits if Granger must take up with a Slytherin, young Nott is probably the best choice, despite his background. Nott is in full possession of the family fortune and has contributed to various worthy causes, including Muggles displaced, killed, or injured by the war. And unlike Granger's previous suitor, he can obviously offer the famous Muggle-born the best of everything, from lens to diamonds. Perhaps Nott's relationship with Granger is a sign that the charismatic pureblood has turned over a new leaf and rejected his family's past prejudices. Hermione looked up from the page to see the entire Gryffindor table staring. Murmurs from the other tables had risen to a dull roar. Thank Merlin, Ron isn't here for this, she thought. It's not too bad, Hermione said, shrugging. Nice picture. Hermione, Neville began. It's okay, really. Could be much worse. Thea and I are dating. We're not hiding it. We just didn't think it would get out so quickly. She looked around. Really, everyone, it's fine. The entire table looked relieved and began to talk again. A bit jumpy, aren't they? Hermione asked Neville and Ginny. Ginny snorted.
They're probably afraid you're going to blast the window out of the Great Hall. Lavender's been blabbing.
She cast an evil look at their former roommate, who sat further down the table with Parvati. I don't remember seeing Skeeter at the restaurant. Hermione skimmed over the article again. Something about the tone seemed off. In any case, I don't see anything damaging here. I'll have a quick word with Theo, then I'm off to Diagon Alley. Hermione gave the Gryffindor table a reassuring smile that they all seemed to appreciate and left her bench, swinging the thin strap of a beaded bag across her chest. She looked over at the Slytherin table and nearly flinched at Malfoy's glare. The open prophet was in his hand. Merlin, what was wrong with him? If anyone should be glaring, it should be her. She wasn't shagging his roommate, as if anybody wanted to be his roommate. Random men weren't bragging to him about her sexual appetites. She just went on a date. Now Theo was walking her way, a sad smile on his face. She began back at him, and he relaxed immediately, taking her hand. Everyone was certainly very tense this year. "Hello, son of a Death Eater," she said. "Hello, muggle-born gold digger," he answered. "Headed to the library." "Not now," she said. "I'm meeting Harry and Ron at Diagon Alley." They passed through the double doors and left the castle through the entrance hall. "Oh, I'm sorry about the prophet," Theo said as they stood outside. "That was quite quick." Hermione pulled out her cloak and Theo arranged it around her shoulders. "It's all right, I've had worse," she said. Theo deftly fastened the cloak under her chin, a small gesture that made her blush. "If I kiss you here, will it cause immediate frenzy?" he asked. She looked around. Students were streaming out the castle doors. "I think the people have seen enough," Hermione said with a smile. She squeezed his hand and headed up the chilly path to Hogsmeade. The newspaper story made shopping in Diagon Alley an ordeal for Hermione. He was constantly followed by hisses of "Death Eater whore," plus 2 howlers from irate Ron fans. After a few hours of that, she stomped over to the Leaky Cauldron. It was near the Daily Prophet offices, and she just bought herself a nice glass jar. "Fire whiskey neat," Hermione ordered, taking a seat at the bar. She pulled out her wand and began poking holes in the jar's lid.
"Bit early for a shot, isn't it, Granger?"
a female voice asked. Hermione turned around, hoping she had misidentified the voice, but no, it was most certainly Pansy Parkinson standing there, looking decidedly out of place in her yellow sheathed dress. A white-yellow band smoothed back her black hair, and she had a little white purse and lace gloves. "If I'd known you were here, Parkinson," Hermione said, "I would have ordered 2. Pansy sniffed.
"I don't care for whiskey."
2 shots from me."
"I suppose you're celebrating in your own common way,"
Pansy said.
"Looking to be the next Lady Not, are you?"
Hermione sighed and stuffed the jar back into her beaded bag. "Why does everyone think I'm chasing a title? I actually like Theo, you know."
"He's a better prospect than Draco, anyway."
Hermione grunted and knocked back her shot. She was not discussing Malfoy with another one of his bins. She never wanted to discuss Malfoy again. She never wanted to see or think or hear about Malfoy again. Maybe he would drop out of Hogwarts. Maybe she should drop out of Hogwarts. She caught the bartender's eyes and pointed at her empty shot glass, then turned to glare at Pansy. "Why are you still here?"
"I like Theo too, actually,"
Pansy said. "Let me guess," Hermione said, knocking back her second shot. "You have a prior agreement with Theo, which you've consummated in the most disgusting ways possible, and you plan to stalk me and criticize my drinking habits until I leave him alone." Pansy blinked.
"Is that why you hex Astoria? Because of her past with Draco?"
"No! Get that into your sugar-spun hat, Parkinson. I did not hex Astoria because of what she said about Malfoy." She had Pansy's dark eyes with her own. "It was self-defense. And he called me violent? Fuck!" She slammed her shot glass on the table.
"I believe you."
"Splendid."
"When I said I liked Theo, I meant as a friend, Granger. I don't want him used."
"Neither do I. I have no plans to be Lady Not. Fuck that." The fire whiskey was really going to her head.
"I believe you,"
Pansy said again. Hermione squinted up at her. "I must be particularly persuasive when I'm drinking. Are we done here?"
"Is Longbottom seeing anyone?"
Hermione blinked. Pansy took the stool beside her, crossing her ankles and placing her purse and gloves over her knees. Her back was straight, and she looked completely ridiculous. "Another one?" the bartender said. Hermione looked at Pansy, who nodded. "2 more shots and some bread and cheese, please," Hermione said. "I have a lunch. I'd rather not turn up sloshed."
"Too late,"
Pansy said. "No," Hermione went on. "I don't know if Neville is seeing someone, but he's one of my very best friends, a good man, and anybody who hurts him is going to think Astoria got off easy. Hell, they think Bellatrix got off easy. Hear me?"
"Loud and clear,"
Pansy said. The 2 shots arrived, along with the bread and cheese, and the 2 women drank. Hermione immediately started in on the bread.
"I've been watching Draco this year,"
Pansy went on. Hermione groaned.
"I'm beginning to think our house has been a little hard on him."
"You'll tell him that," Hermione said. "I don't care."
"He's been behaving quite strangely,"
Pansy said. "He was always strange. See, Jane Care, above."
I heard you tried to murder Lavender Brown, Pansy smirked. Why don't you have a temper this year?
Hermione shrugged. So I've been a little testy?
If you say so. We've all seen Brown following Draco around for weeks, even right up to the Slytherin dungeons. You Gryffindors have no pride.
Maybe you should consider herself your successor, Parkinson, said Hermione, remembering how Pansy hung on Malfoy for years.
Meow. Brown, Notorious. As I said, I've been watching. It's disturbing what happens to people who get between you and Draco. He's been a little testy too.
Pansy's eyes narrowed.
It makes me worried about Theo.
Theo can handle himself, Hermione said. I understand where you're coming from, but you don't have to worry. There is nothing going on between me and Malfoy.
All right then,
Pansy set a gallon down at the bar.
Drinks on me.
Hermione shook her head and pushed a coin back towards her.
You can pick up the next tab, Granger.
Hermione smiled reluctantly. All right. Pansy left her stool quite graceful for someone who just had a shot of whiskey and minced out the door in her heeled shoes. Hermione put her foot on the bar. What a goddamn mess. She must have dozed off a little, face down on the bar, because she felt a bit better when Harry found her. He teased her about the smell of fire whiskey and the heavy line on her forehead, then bore her off to the 3 broomsticks, where Ron and George were on their second, maybe third, butterbeers. Ron looked more relaxed than she'd seen him in years. His act was friendly, and he made only few pointed remarks about her and Theo's front page news. The turnaround was stunning, and Hermione spent most of lunch staring at his new Ron. Ron and George needed to get to the Burrow afterwards, invited the rest to come along, but Hermione said she had to study and Harry had training. Hermione spent the afternoon working in the Gryffindor common room, and after dinner she studied in the library with Ginny and Neville, as well as Theo, who was still manfully trying to follow her colour-coded study guides. It was a quiet evening. Ginny looked a little pale and heavy-eyed, and Theo kept glancing at Hermione worriedly when he thought she wasn't looking. Hermione was glad to return to the dorm, where she and Ginny split a butterbeer and went to bed early. Ginny didn't mention Blaise, and Hermione didn't mention Malfoy. Hermione lay on her back for a long time, staring at the canopy above, thinking of everything and nothing, and she was pretty sure Ginny was doing the same. Her mind, especially, kept drifting back to Malfoy's diamonds, still stowed at the very bottom of Hermione's trunk, protected by strong wards. A few times over the past weeks the jewels had drawn her out of bed, and she'd held the pieces up to the candlelight, admiring their faceted fire, touching the cool, smooth diamond in the center of the clip. Dark, dangerous jewellery. Historic jewellery. Possibly family jewellery? Hermione tossed restlessly in her bed, unable to accept the possibility that she lived in a world where Draco Malfoy gave her, a muggle-born, such a treasure. Just because it was her birthday. There simply had to be another explanation. Dark doubts drifted in. Perhaps the diamonds were cursed. An intricate plan of revenge. She sat up. Oh, Merlin, now she was being truly ridiculous. Malfoy was no saint, but he wasn't a diabolical dark wizard trying to live up to his dark mark again with another careless delivery of deadly jewellery. Then why? Hermione flopped back onto the bed. She could start a new loop section on the topic, but she lacked sufficient data to draw any reasonable conclusions. Asking Malfoy directly was out of the question. He probably just put her off. So where were answers she needed? What were the right books, the right sources? She was still pondering research options when she fell asleep. To be continued. Chapter endnotes. Next up, Hermione considers skiving off class. But she could just hear her mother. Now, honey, those bits about shattered windows and blood-soaked jewellery sound like excuses to me. One mustn't fear success. Thank you for listening to The Gloriana Set by ThebeMoon. If you would like to stay up to date on upcoming chapters and stories, you can follow me on Spotify, YouTube, or AO3.